Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Destination Truth. Tonight I have some interesting stuff to share with you basically, and it goes hand in hand with really the last video that I just made, which is about how history hasn't really been told because what the mainstream narrative in this country is from public education and the mainstream media is that basically, with the signing of the Magna Carta, basically all monarchies and giant wealthy elite families within politics, which are monarchies, their royalty and all of this power that they have amassed just magically evaporated, right? And basically what I've realized from a number of books I've read and history, true history, and in part thanks to, Quigley's book, Tragedy and Hope, and I haven't read all of that, by the way, mostly just excerpts, but I just started a new book that I'm really excited about called 13 Bloodlines of the Illuminati. That one's by Springmeyer, first name Fritz. Yeah, so Fritz Springmeyer. Sorry about that. Okay, so, so what I'm getting at is on Halloween, I went downtown to have some fun. If you don't know, I'm living in San Francisco, and I happened upon this. So this is my post. This is my Tyler Warden _DT for Destination Truth. So please follow me if you want to. But I saw this downtown in San Francisco on the night of Halloween, and I just thought to myself, how many people in the city are actually overtly like Luciferian or Satanists? And how many of them think all of this imagery and stuff is cool, but they don't actually understand what it is? For example, someone, in my opinion, could innocently, quite literally, believe that, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and culture and history is very interesting and fun. And so the only reason that they put down this image is for some fun meaning. But to be honest with you, it was in a location downtown that honestly made me feel like it might actually have meaning. Like maybe someone in the building that this was in front of was actually a Luciferian, and it was maybe potentially an actual meeting place. So that got me thinking. So I started searching with Google, actually, to search the history of the Church of Satan in America. And so let me share a little bit of this with you. But what I found, basically, in a nutshell, is that it was established here in San Francisco. And this house has since been bulldozed, but the Black House was destroyed, luckily, and it was the founding place of the Church of Satan in America. And as you can see, the information on this place is quite limited, but I mean, LaVey, the guy who started it, Anton LaVey, and his daughter, Zena LaVey, or Zena Shrek, as she later was changed her name when she got married. By the way, Shrek, I mean, honestly, terrible name. I would not have taken that if I was a woman. But yeah, they led this church, and additionally, we also found that, guess what? Almost every form of Satanism in America was started here in San Francisco. So there's also the Temple of Set, which is started by Michael Aquino, which is the scary military guy with the pointed eyebrows, who, let me just show you that guy right now, actually. But he was the first soldier in America to change his religion to Satanism. Not Michelle, I'm sorry. There we go. This guy. So this was the guy I'm talking about. One of the first most prominent Satanists in the country. Very high-ranked U.S. general. He wasn't actually a general. I think he was an admiral, to be more precise. But yeah, very involved in some very creepy groups. I think he was a high-level Mason as well, which makes perfect sense if you know the history of the occult. So dressed like that, I would assume he might have even been a level 33 degree Mason, which is about as high as you can get within the Scottish Rite. But yeah, the creepy thing is he had those eyebrows. Maybe he thought he should have been a Satanist from a young age because these eyebrows seem to be natural because they are with him throughout his entire life. As you can see, it does not seem to be something that he was doing intentionally. But as you can see, the guy, that's Michael on the left, and on the right is Anton LaVey. And this guy in the middle is probably some innocent bystander that got recruited by them, honestly. And who knows? Maybe they killed him. Anyways, so that's that backstory, all right? So enough about creepy stuff. By the way, on the night of Halloween here in San Francisco, the top of the Salesforce Tower was ablaze, and it wasn't just that. It was the fact that the top of the city hall also had a very bright red light. It wasn't a pink or an orange light. It was a red light, as well as two other skyscrapers had red lights on the top of the buildings on that particular night, and it just really felt eerie to me. It was just this odd feeling of like, man, maybe the city is dominated, like quite literally dominated by Satan, you know, and it's very depressing to think that way because it's a beautiful city, or at least it was, that's for sure. And, you know, I don't want to be Lot and have to leave and have her. Maybe it's a bad analogy, guys. But anyways, so this is the exciting part. So I started learning about all this stuff and realizing that San Francisco is kind of a starting point for Satanism. And I did some more digging, and I found something truly disturbing. And this is the smoking gun that I actually want to share with you guys in regards to what satanic ritual abuse is, as well as to satanic occult behavior and their actions throughout America. I think there's been a lot more going on than people know about, and I think there's a lot of real cult activity that is highly illegal that has been covered up, in fact. So that's what it seems to be, the case. In fact, let me just go down real quick and skip to what is called the Satanic Panic? Yeah, Satanic Panic is, I believe, what they were calling it. But basically there's a point in time where people believed that Satanists were coming back and they were doing terrible things. And then the FBI stepped in, what do you know, and says, no, this is just panic. This is not real, and basically shut down the entire investigation. So let me look at this. There we go. So the Satanic Panic was a moral panic throughout the country, and yeah, it was a real thing, and it dates back actually to the 80s and 90s. Now, what do you know? This is the smoking gun I'm about to show you. A document called Satanic Cult Awareness. Now, this was released by the National Criminal Justice Research Department, I believe. I'm forgetting what the S stands for. Hold on. So this is the website of the National Criminal Justice Reference Service, and this is, I stumbled upon it actually through Google, but I just wanted to show you the website so you know who the source is on this. But yeah, nonetheless, I find this document which dates back to January 27th, 1993. Okay, I was just 3 years old back then. And man, this picture alone, this is basically a police document that was circulated around the country. It is pretty creepy, and it gives thanks and acknowledgments to the San Francisco Police Department, which I thought was very interesting, as well as Ohio, Idaho, San Diego, Beaumont. Notice that San Diego and Beaumont are both in California, and some specific persons in the Defense Investigative Service. So I was just really blown away that on this short list here, there's actually 3 California cities. So, you know, California being extremely liberal. Well, guess what? Let's just hypothetically speak here. If people, the occult, the people running the show from the shadows want to push society as a whole in a certain direction, but without being labeled as part of a conspiracy, then they need to do it in very detached movements. So what do these people do? These are the kinds of people that are smart enough and conniving enough to start social justice movements and to basically push society in a direction by pushing very specific narratives. And these people do so in very devious and sneaky ways. These are not foolish people. These are people, honestly, if I'm going to be honest about what I think here, it's like these people are led by Satan, and they know, just like if you've read the Screw Tape Letters, it was put out by the Catholic Church a long time ago, basically, or at least a Catholic writer. But the Screw Tape Letters is basically a book about how demons working for Satan to think and how smart and conniving they are. Anyways, so guys, I'm going to basically just summarize as much of this as I can, but I'm going to read part of it. But this is a really interesting document, and it really is basically, this opening part is talking about how, criminal statistics prove that the sad fact that the sexual crimes of all classifications are increasing in our modern civilization. This is particularly noticeable in sex offenses against children, and they link that to the Satanic movement. Now, this is very, very scary stuff, guys. This is a real document. You can look it up easy. I'm giving you the URL in the top left, okay? Look it up. But look, this is the part I actually want to read to you out loud, okay? So cult techniques of psychological manipulation, isolation, loss of reality induced by physical separation from society and rational references, hypnosis, state of high suggestibility induced by hypnosis, often thinly disguised as meditation. That's really creepy. Now, that's really creepy because you know how many of these guru type movements have people that are representing themselves as to be enlightened in some way. And I found this this particular person, Alice. Hold on. So I'm going to show you this just to jump right to who I was talking about. Alice Bailey. Alice Bailey was literally masquerading as a Christian, basically saying that she could basically commune with Christ or something, and basically she was communicating with a spirit called Bhashavad Gita or something. I don't know, but I've heard excerpts of this text several times already now, and basically she's prophesying that the Christianity needs to be destroyed because Christ is a church of all people, not of just Christians. And so she's masquerading in many, many ways to be basically a Christian, when in reality, when you look at the text, she's communicating with a spirit with some weird, more Indian-sounding name, which makes her sound like some kind of a guru, right? So that's my point there, is that these people are in fact very devious, okay? So meditation is something they most definitely would use at some point. Okay, peer group pressure, you get that. Love bombing, sense of family and belonging, contrived through hugging, kissing, touching, and flattery. Removal of privacy, loss of the ability to evaluate, logically achieved by preventing private contemplation. Sleep deprivation and fatigue, disorientation and vulnerability created by prolonged mental and physical activity and withholding adequate rest and sleep. Games, need for direction when playing games with obscure rules, increased dependence on the group. Meta-communication, subliminal messages implanted by stressing certain key words or phrases in long, confusing lectures. Now, I want to stop there actually and mention that we know that meta-communication, there's a lot of these things we're going down the list on here. These are things that have been learned over the last several hundreds of years to be effective ways of basically manipulating the weak. And I say the weak because later in this document, you'll realize that these cults, they don't want strong people. They want followers. That's really what they're after. They're after followers, not leaders. They want very few leaders because the leaders, well, they're the ones that get all the benefits, right? They get access to the money, or the children, or the women, or the men, whatever it is. The leaders can't be many because they also, anything that is evil in this world is going to have a communist-style leadership where it's really everyone's, I don't know how to do this. If my arms are included, it's like everyone's flat except right in the middle. There's a tiny little spike of all the power right in the middle. So it's like in communism, there's a tiny ruling class of literally, maybe as few as a dozen people that really do rule the country, and everyone else is basically a slave, whether they know it or not, and they're basically being used to self-fulfill whatever the government's trying to do, kind of in that like Nazi style obedience test that we did in Florida in the 1960s. So metacommunication made me think of how we use things like ceremonies and religions to do terrible things. For example, you can research this. The Roman Catholic Church marries their nuns to Satan symbolically, and they do so in a way that they don't understand what's happening, but they're symbolically being married to Satan. So Google that if you want to learn about that. There's an amazing nun in particular that's very verbal about that. I think she passed away, but she's very verbal about that, her life story through the 80s and 90s, and kind of dropped off a little bit as she told her story enough times, but very open about that. Okay, no questioning, automatic acceptance of beliefs established by discouraging questioning or questions, confusing doctrine, complex lectures on an incomprehensible doctrine. What does this remind you of? Encourage rejection of logic and blind acceptance. Does that not make you think of literally what the left represents right now? Now, I try to tie everything together in the reality in which we live, and let me tell you that Satanism and this cult behavior is in fact deeply embedded in every single liberal and super left-wing movement of our times. Okay, that is what it is. It is cult behavior, and I've made a video on this as well called Beware like social justice, the new religion of the left. I don't even remember the videos that I make, guys. I remember what they're about, but I don't even remember the name, so don't blame me. But check it out. I made it just a couple of months ago. Rejection of old values. Again, something that's being done with the left right now. Confession. Destruction of personal egos. Increased vulnerability to new teachings and recruits weaknesses revealed through sharing innermost secrets. Ooh, that's really one way to really make people bow down to you, because they know your weaknesses and your guilt now. So guilt's the next one. Teaching of eternal salvation, reinforced by exaggerating sins of former lifestyle. And probably, to go a mile further, is how great the people's lives are now that they're Satanists. Okay, so next we have fear. Loyalty and obedience to a group maintained by threatening soul, life, or limb for the slightest negative thought, word, or deed. Talk about KGB, thought police. This is communism, guys. Satanist cults and communism go hand in hand in so many ways. Chanting and singing, non-cult input screened out by demanding repetition of mind-narrowing chants or phrases when faced with non-cult ideas. Disinhibition, abdication of adult responsibility encouraged by orchestrating childlike behavior. Wow. What is the left trying to do with adults these days? Tell us to be children our whole lives, never grow up, and never have kids. And that goes hand in hand with the goals of the left, or the globalists that don't want us to be reproducing in the first place, which is why they push things that sterilize us against our will, as well as things that kill us, like all kinds of things. But most importantly, they're pushing still very hard to basically push abortion on anyone that's not ready. If you're not perfect for marriage, like if you're not perfect and you have lots of money, you shouldn't have kids. It's like this is intentional, guys. Okay, change of diet, disorientation brought on by people's diet, controlled approval, vulnerability, and confusion maintained by alternating rewarding and punishing similar actions. Dress, individuality removed by demanding conformity to the group dress code. Flaunting hierarchy, acceptance of cult authority produced by promising advancement, power, and salvation. That also sounds like the left right now, because these people are literally in a victimhood Olympics, because the more of a victim you are, the higher you are on their hierarchy, right? You have more power. You're allowed to say more things and never be wrong. Finger pointing, giving false sense of righteousness created by pointing to the shortcomings of other outside world or other cults. Shortcomings of that. Okay. Replacement of relationships, pre-cult families destroyed by rendering cult marriages and families. Now this is like really creepy because that's like they're getting the doctrine from the 13 bloodlines now, guys. You know, financial commitment, increased dependence on the group achieved by burning bridges to pass through donation of all assets. This is really interesting stuff, guys. Now I'm actually going to read some of this stuff because I think it's really interesting. But this is deceptive recruitment cults, basically. That's what this stands for. Recruitment by a deceptive recruitment cult. Most cult recruit members in their teens when prospective members are young, impressionable, and troubled. In the initial approach, potential recruits are often unaware they're being recruited. They are solicited to attend discussion sessions or non-religious political subjects. Notice how it says non-religious political subjects. Weekend seminars, dinners, etc. The goal of this technique is to get the recruit alone with other cult members so the psychological manipulation can begin. This sounds so much like the left in every way. Not every recruit joins. At each step of the recruitment process, the worldly, sophisticated, streetwise, independent recruits are separated. Only those who are idealistic, submissive, and emotional are asked to join. That's what I was talking about earlier. They only want followers. They don't actually want leaders. That's why someone like me would never be recruited, probably. Interpersonal bonds are then established by other cult members. Conversion takes place not because of the appeal of its ideology, but because of the acceptance of the opinions of one's new friends. Initiation of cult member. The illustration of the following pages depicts the complete initiation process of a destructive cult. Starting at the bottom and continuing upwards, there are 27 different steps in the recruitment, indoctrination, and disorientation process. After the recruitment and indoctrination phases, physical and mental changes appear in the disorientation state. Of the total 27 steps of psychological coercion, only 17 need to be used in a 48-hour period to result in the disoriented person. Okay, that's fast and scary, guys. Talking about like run and gun, it's like if these cults get you to a certain location where you don't have help and they have 48 hours with you, yeah, they're probably gonna get you to do whatever they want. By force, by force. All right, so let's go ahead and start at recruitment. We already mentioned a lot of these things. I already read them. So that's where they start with they want to know your guilt and your fears. They want you to know the threat of Satan. They also want to use isolation on you, personal confrontation, and restrictive sex drive. The restricted sex drive goes hand in hand with guilt and fear and stuff. Because what if they tell you you shouldn't be? You shouldn't be guilty about that. You should let that be, whatever it is, whatever your sex drive is, let it out. So indoctrination period, low food intake. This is the high excitement side. Love bombing, noise, continued monitoring, lack of sleep, information disorientation, meditation, also aka hypnosis, guided fantasy, subliminal oratory, which is like sounds and stuff, trance lectures, misdirected thought input. And then lastly, the snapped person. Dysfunctional brain responses result in confusion, change in physical appearance. Talk about all feminists, like literally. Do you guys get what I'm getting at here? Like, this is creepy stuff. Emotional depression. Like everyone on the left, they're all depressed. No self-reflection. Change in speech pattern. Information process destroyed. Okay, acceptance without wisdom or judgment. No personal goals. Imagination equals reality. Fact is equals to fantasy. Accepting leaders' thoughts. And conformity. Wow, guys. Types of abuse and torture. I'm just going to try to summarize this because I know this is getting lengthy now. But confinement and isolation in small places. That's creepy. Sexual torture. Like, wow. This is creepy stuff. Infants and toddlers are physically prepared for later sexual abuse with objects forced into every body opening. Oh my gosh. The role of the mother figure is crucial in the early sexual abuse preparation. Sexual rituals are common and generally involve the letting of blood. Girls are cut vaginally. Boys are cut on the penis. Oh my gosh. Sexual orgies among cult members always involve the balance of pleasure with pain to serve Satan. Wow, girls are impregnated as early as possible and are taught that anesthesia, I can't say it right now, guys, I'm sorry. Abortions are an honor, guys. Do you understand how I'm reading a document about satanic ritual abuse and satanic cults, and it is literally basically describing movements of the left right now. Now, I could go down this document. There is more here, and you might enjoy it, and it's only 49 pages. I've read about half of it, okay? And, yeah, it was enough for me to be like, I got to share this document. So, anyways, guys, this is the toxicity of the left, and you need to understand that you are being brainwashed. You absolutely are being brainwashed. In fact, in closing, let me just read this one part then, I guess. Brainwashing, often in conjunction with drugs, is sophisticated hypnosis which involves the associative pairing of induced pain, terror, plus the cult message, plus the trigger cues. Trigger cues are planted in the subconscious and are too numerous to list. They are later utilized by the cult to control the survivor without his or her conscious awareness. Visual symbols or greeting cards, flower colors, and arrangements, common hand gestures, verbal phrases, body postures, facial movements. Brainwashing is an integral part of ritual abuse and cult indoctrination. It also serves to create amnesia for cult information such as names, places, etc., thus protecting cult secrecy. Hypnotic introduction of visual imagery during abuse can hamper later therapeutic efforts to uncover accurate memories. So that is really, wow, that is really, really creepy, guys, because they know what they're doing. This is a science now. These people have been at this for a long, long time, and what they know is really, really creepy. And I just don't want this video to be so long that you don't want to get into it, but you know, this stuff is creepy. It goes hand in hand with worshiping Moloch, you know, Bohemian Garden, Skull and Bone Society, every secret society, and movements within the left. I mean, like, think about how George Soros is funding NAMBLA, the Man-Boy Love Association. This stuff all goes hand in hand. It's creepy as hell, and you know, honestly, it all needs to be rejected. I'm serious. You know, I think we're actually just about ready for a you know, Salem witch trial of some sort to kick out this evil satanic belief system out of America. And I'm sad to say that Trump's storm is probably not going to be enough to get the job done. So please be aware of what's happening in the world. Continue watching my videos and staying up to date. And I just found a YouTube channel that I'm going to just keep promoting for free for a moment here because I love them. It's called The Edge of Wonder. They're amazing guys. Yeah, watch some of their videos. It's really amazing. Really great stuff. I'll actually drop a link to one of their videos about the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. It is mind-opening and incredibly fascinating. Anyways, guys, I hope you learned something in this video. I hope you realized just how much in dire straits we really are with fighting Satanism, because it's just the left is satanic, communist is satanic, communism is satanic. And again, if I'm going to say I have a political belief system, more so than being a minarchist or a libertarian, I'm even more so an anti-communist and an anti-Luciferian, anti-Satanist. So join hands with anyone that's a fellow believer in Christ, and you know, pick a side, guys. If you weren't Christian or you don't have any religious beliefs, honestly, I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. I was born and raised very religious, but nowadays I've realized you have to pick a side. There's no hotter. You can't be, you know, lukewarm. You need to be hot or cold. Lukewarm isn't going to work out so much anymore. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and stay safe, and honestly, stay close to Christ, because what I've found from everything I've learned is that by utterly revoking the power of Satan and demanding that he separate from you in the name of Christ will save you from a number of different anguishes, such as satanic ritual abuse, as well as alien abduction. How this stuff's all connected is mind-boggling, and honestly, I'm still discovering it myself. So please like and subscribe my channel if you want to go down this rabbit hole with me. Thanks for watching.